As I finish up priming my casings and flaring the mouth, I dropped a primer on the floor. Now, I waited until the very end to reach over and pick it up because it fell right there at my feet. Now, what's interesting, or maybe not, is the primer that I picked up. Now, I'm using small pistol. That's not a small pistol primer. The one that I had dropped, if I can show you the difference, you know the difference in the sizes of primers. Now that's the one. Now I picked it up and I looked at it and I thought, well, that's not the same primer. I had another primer on the floor. Now let's say they were both small. How do I know? Now the camera's not probably going to pick this up very well, but I want you to see here. That's the first primer that I picked up. Can you see inside there that that's a little bit yellow in color? Now the one that I happened to drop on the floor, that's the small pistol that I'm using. If the camera will pick that up, that's green. So I look at some of the other primers and I realize, aside from the size, which was the obvious thing, that that wasn't the primer. So if it was small and I had a different primer that also happened to be small, it was silver in color, not brass in color. Inside, these things are color coded. If you didn't know that, now you do. So here I dropped my last primer into there. I'm going to put a little chamfer on the primer pocket so it goes into the case nice and smooth, and run that up. Now all of my casings are sized, primed, flared, and ready for powder. So I'm using Winchester 231, and after reviewing the load data, I've settled on 4.6 grains of powder because I want it to be just subsonic. So if I use it without hearing protection on, my eardrums are not going to be bleeding. Now I have this old Hornaday trickler that I'm using because I want to measure every single one because I want it spot on. Perfect. I've got a Saturn aluminum with the brass fitting 338. Now you think 338 Win Mag, 338 Lapua in order for dropping powder. But this has actually got a pretty good fit for 9mm. So you could use that, or you could use, I like these older funnels too, you know, because that'll fit on there just fine. But whatever you've got, the idea behind a funnel here is that you don't want to be spilling powder all over the place. You want it to be going into the casing, not somewhere other than the casing. So I've got 4.6 verified on my Reading scale that I zeroed ahead of time. Drop that into here. Now, my head, which I have already set up, my cedar, I put a powdered case on there. I grabbed one of my Winchester silver tip bullets and I set that on top, and it sits perfectly straight up and down. So I run that up, and again, if you like, you give it a quarter of a turn and you run it up again, and that will help with your concentricity. Make it as concentric as you can get it. Now I'm going to move them from over here to my second block, and I'm putting it up. When they're all over here, my final step crimping, I will move them from here over to there. Every time I do a step, I'm moving the casing, so I have a visual reference of where I'm at. If I get called away, now I'm here at the shop right now. If somebody comes in the door and I need to stop, I come back later on. I know exactly where I'm at, and I haven't put powder in a bunch of casings that are now exposed to the air. I drop a powder charge, I seat the bullet, I set it down, done. I walk away, I come back, I've got no issues, I know exactly where I'm at. And I do it this way for that reason. It's a safety check along the way, every step of the way, and if I get called away, I come back, I know exactly where I am,